Hello and welcome to the Software Upgrade 3.8 overview for Neo family of consoles. The Neo software is an extremely flexible theatrical lighting control system. It can be set up to run for a native theatrical environment consistent with tracking consoles, queue-only consoles, and more. It can also be set up to run as a direct action console. The flexibility is yours. Neo adds an easy-to-use graphical user interface to the powerful command line operation that has a proud history within the world of Strand consoles. Neo displays a wealth of information on the graphical screens, allowing the user to work faster and more efficiently. Neo can be upgraded at no additional cost when new software becomes available, and Software 3.8 is available now. This video is going to talk about the features. It's not necessarily going to be an instructional video on how to use all of them. There'll be separate videos for each of the major features individually. But I do want to talk about the basic features. So let's start with loading and saving shows. It's important to understand some changes that have been made to the show file saving system. The show will always be safe, and these changes further enhance the security of the show file to protect it against unintended changes. The current show in the active memory of the console will always be up to date, and it will be retained even if the console is powered off. These new changes allow saving copies of the show file while maintaining an archive of the data as needed. Neo show files have a new extension. It's .neo. Pack show files and settings. Accessed from Options, Pack show file and settings is a feature that saves the show file, system settings, and all related media files. This will be images, videos, and minor face layouts to a single .nps file. With this feature, it is now possible to clone one Neo console show file, support files, and settings to another console. Loading a saved show from a packed show file. Once the file is packed and saved, it can be transported to another Neo family console and opened there, where all files and settings will be transferred. Go to Options, Pack Show File and Settings, and Load Pack Show, and select the correct .nps file. The Loading Pack Show File dialog box will appear, and by default, the following options are on and will be imported and changed on the importing Neo family console system. The Neo palette system has been reimagined. So it has been overhauled and improved for Software 3.8. In Software 3.7 and before, there are specific palettes that only store specific fixture data. These are for the intensity, position, color, beam, and edge palettes. This data cannot be used in fixtures where the data has not been stored. So for example, if you have two moving lights and one of them has data in the position palette but the other fixture does not, then only that first fixture can apply the palette because data does not exist for the other fixture. In 3.7 and earlier, there are also generic palettes. This is where data in one fixture can be applied to any other fixture. This is most useful for common data elements like color. In Software 3.8, a new system of virtual palettes has been created that combines the best of both worlds between the specific and generic palettes, and it takes it a level further. So specific palettes now have the option of being virtual palettes. This allows them to function as generic palettes, but smarter. So the way it works is when a fixture is told to apply a palette, and let's make the assumption that we're talking about color palettes because that's the most common use for virtual palettes. The system will look for data in the following order. It will look for data for the current selected fixture. If data does not exist for that fixture, it will then look for another fixture of the same fixture type. If that does not exist, it will look for the first channeled fixture that has data in this palette. So if a color palette has been recorded on an RGB fixture, it can be applied to an RGB, an RGBA, RGBW, CMY. It actually also will apply color to the correct additional colors of white and amber rather than just to RGB. This is a benefit over the existing generic palette model. Virtual palettes will apply color to the color wheels if the destination fixture does not have a color mixing system. And when recording a cue, the Neo system will automatically convert virtual palette references to real palettes. So if a palette has information for one fixture and then supplied to the other fixtures, the information is calculated using the virtual palette system. Once the cue or palette is recorded or updated, then the virtual data becomes actual data that is stored in the item. A brand new effect engine has emerged, and it's called the paint box effect. It's a great way to apply a color effect across a large quantity of LED fixtures utilizing an unlimited color path. This color path can then be manipulated for direction, length, as well as the amount of spread that's applied to the matrix. Now you can set the behavior of your effect when it's created. The options are override, build, exclusive, highest takes precedence, lowest takes precedence, and independent. Group and sub overlap has been eliminated. So with software version 3.7 and earlier, if sub 1 is recorded, it records group 1 and then attaches sub 1 to that group. So if group 1 is recorded later, there could be overlap. In software version 3.8, there is a new setting in System Properties, System Settings, called the Submaster Group ID Record Offset. By default, if a submaster is recorded, it now records the group number 1000 higher than the sub number to eliminate any overlap between group numbers and sub numbers. You can adjust this offset as required. I want to talk about a very exciting and powerful command called if. The if command will allow conditional changes based upon the state of the channels. So for example, you can say if the lights are blue, make them green. If they're focused downstage, put them in the leaf gobo. So if can work on channels three different ways. It can work on selected channels, it can work on all channels, or it can work on a leading channel list. Now if can access palettes three different ways. Palettes can be accessed using command line, so this works by pressing the position, color, beam, and or edge buttons and then a number for the palette number. Palettes can be accessed by pressing a palette from any palette window. For example, a position palette can be accessed by pressing a stored position in the position palette window. Or palettes can be accessed from the channel group's display button on the top of the main display. This will open the channel groups display where there are tabs for all palette pages. So there's a lot of power with the if statement, and I look forward to everyone getting to program by asking the simple yet powerful question. Neo's added an exciting new feature that allows you to range color. So I'll show you an example of this using the gel libraries. So I'll do 1 through enter to grab 1 through 100 because they're all the same fixture type. And we're going to say at color Roscoe 68, 4.68 through Roscoe 312, so 4.312. And notice it's ranged color, starting with the first one being Roscoe 68 and going to the last one being Roscoe 312. Now remember, the major gel manufacturers of Apollo, GAM, Lee, and Roscoe are there, and they all have a numerical reference in alphabetical order. So Apollo is 1, Gamma is 2, Lee is 3, and Roscoe is 4. But I want to show you an advanced ability of ranging to allow you to not just go from one end to the other, but to have them peak in the middle. So we'll use the same colors. I'll just say at color 4.68 through 4.312 through 4.68. And notice these are going to peak in the middle. So you can do this with colors, you can do it with intensities. There's a lot of power within the ability to range channels in Neo. The Neo control system has a preset fader mode for those that are most comfortable with a preset desk style of operation. Preset fader mode can be turned on in system properties in either basic or advanced mode, and then you can set up two scenes to crossfade between one and another. Remote commands are a separate user, so any commands coming from a Neo remote will be a separate user. This allows the Neo console operator to program without interruption. Those remote channels will appear in green. Timing made simpler. So several improvements have been made with the time and delay functions of Neo. Pressing time while on the queue will put queue number time on the command line, making it easier to change time on the current queue. Also, time shift time has now been changed for adjusting the master fade time of the console. And if channels are selected, pressing time now defaults to selecting fixture timing. Pressing delay while on the queue will put queue number delay on that current queue. The sidebar queue list has been given a facelift and will display the queue info more clearly. Each queue has a larger font and provides more visibility for this info. Time information will appear on the left side under the queue number. Queue flags, mark, block, effect, shortcut, and notes will appear on the right side under the queue label. There is a new virtual console for use when you're using the PC version. More touchscreen friendly menus throughout the software. So if I go in the patch and into options, all of this is now more touch friendly. We've added Open Sound Control or OSC support. So under external triggers, this can be set up. We've added a new task scheduler to the software, so it's much more flexible in what can be set up to be triggered on a time basis. The view pull down has been completely reorganized to simplify and streamline its operation. There are many command line additions and improvements for both live and blind. There are new system property options throughout the system properties to give you more flexibility. We've added the Pegasus software and the Strand Neo software to the Neo operating systems for help in configuring your lighting system. There are blind display improvements, sub-fixture improvements. There are new group record modes, multiple playback improvements. Mobile Interface Builder now works on a PC, not just on a tablet or phone. There are additional macro commands. Effect and effect playbacks have improved. Neo and VisionNet connectivity improvements have been made. We've added ASCII import of etc files, remote and tracking backup improvements, and many, many more. This introductory video is just that, an introduction. Go to the website www.strandlighting.com for many more videos on Neo programming and operation.